Well, Oakland was a great time for me because we left Montgomery a couple of years after Martin Luther King had been assassinated. Members of my father's side, including my dad, they were members of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. And so there was a lot of hurt, pain. Oakland represented hope for us. A lot of families were migrating westward. My dad was a teacher, band director, got a job there. And we got to Oakland, we had this influx of cultures between Oakland and Berkeley and San Francisco. And I think it was great because I learned a lot culturally. I had a lot of friends from different walks of life, and I think it blessed my family because it gave me a wider view of life and society in general. My mom made a comment to me one day in her kitchen, and to this day she doesn't recall ever saying it. She said, "Son, we have prayed for you, and God has promised you within 6 months." And I'm like, "Mom, you're going crazy. If God told you, why didn't he give me the memo as well?" To this day, she doesn't recall ever saying it, but I didn't dream that. She said it. Then 6 months later, and I was in a real search process. I was studying with Mormons, Church of God in Christ, Baptist. I began to really search, and in my searching process, I stayed with my aunt at the time. And in my searching process, I saw Message magazine on her coffee table one day. And I'm a reader by nature, so I began to read. And as I began to read, I began to see some things that looked very interesting. As I look back now, I recall those articles I would read by Elder C.D. Brooks, some of those awesome recipes. I wish I had those early issues by Miss Gwendolyn Foster, for example. Just great articles, and it was in my mind, and I believe that it was part of the soil preparation process. I think the blessing of Message magazine is this, and this is why I push it so much. Sometimes people get Message and they were not intended to receive it. When I think about the fact that it was sitting there on a coffee table, spread with other magazines, as decor now. At the time I was 19, and I grabbed it and I started reading because it's in front of me. It helped to prepare my mind to receive the Lord in that crusade. You know, Ellen White calls it a patient, protracted process. He was reeling me in, bit at a time, using whatever means he had. And in this case, Message magazine was a part of the tools that he used to help prepare the soil of my heart to receive his words.
I love evangelism. It is the heartbeat of who we are and what we do. That passion goes back more than 40 years ago. As a little young boy growing up in Ohio, sitting underneath the hot canvas, playing in the sawdust, listening to the old Adventist preachers preach this third angel's message. Evangelism, there's so many facets to evangelism. If you don't have the message, you can't do evangelism. So the Message magazine is like the forerunner. It's like John the Baptist. Before Christ came, you needed John to pave the way. The Message is one great tool for paving the way. Well, Message magazine is like planting the seed. The evangelist comes behind, tills the soil, but the seed has to be planted. No matter how much you water that ground and how much fertilizer you put down, if the seed has never been planted, you're never going to reap the harvest. Regardless of the times, regardless of what's going on in our world today, the Message magazine is still relevant. And Message is growing, Message is flexible. Our message is still the same, but it does have a different spin because we're living in a different age and a different time. But the message still stays the same and is still as effective as it was 40 years ago. It's still effective in changing and reshaping lives. So I encourage everybody, if you think Message is outdated, look again and see that Message is still on the front line.